This here is Homer the Homesteader, and it's my second interview for Jacob Lenhoff, Tours America. The funniest cruise I've ever had is really not one cruise in particular, but the events that I get to do, are the friends I get to meet on the cruises are the funnest thing. And one story that comes to mind that is among the funnest is my uncle had salvaged this. I think they're called a skimmer hat or straw skimmer hat, but the type that the barbershop quartets wear. And he had salvaged it from the garbage from one of his coworkers had thrown it out when he was going through the coworker's father's estate. Thrown it in the garbage, and my uncle had salvaged it and kept it in his office. And I was there helping him with his work, and he said I needed to take that with me to use in my karaoke. And so I was cruising with that for a while until it started to fall apart. But these young kids we had started to become friends through karaoke and some other stuff. And they stopped me the last night of the cruise. I had a 6-pack of club soda in my arm and my skimmer hat on, and they asked me if I was on TikTok, and so they helped me make my first TikTok video, which was me doing this with that hat and holding my 6-pack and on the stairs. And so memories like that are what make the funnest cruise, and I have some very vivid memories, and that just happens to be one that comes to mind. Would I ever go skydiving? Yes, and I just think it would be an amazing time to do that free fall and then sit there perched over the coming closer Earth. So I think that would be amazing. Just haven't made the time or decided to spend the money to do it. The scariest adventure I've ever had and why. I was actually in the Army, and I was home visiting on leave, and I was helping my dad roof one of our friends' garage. And so it was an adventure in that I had, I was home from the Army on leave. I had a girlfriend who was visiting with me, and I was spending time with my dad, my brothers, and the girlfriend. And we were doing this roof job, and it was a tear off, so we took all the shingles off, and there was moisture underneath the shingles. And so my girlfriend was sitting down near the edge of the roof, and I was walking up towards the peak of the roof, and I slipped on the moisture and I fell, and I couldn't I couldn't stop because it was just slippery, and I kept going down. And it was right down this valley where in the middle of the valley out came the electrical line. And so I was afraid I was going to fall on either side of it. I had tried to sink my hammer into the roof to slow me down, but for some reason it skidded out of my hands and didn't go through the plywood, and I came right to the edge, and my feet caught in the eaves troughing, and the first eaves troughing spike came out, and the second eaves troughing spike came out, and I was just right at the edge, and I almost ready to fall over that wire. And this was the scariest adventure when the third eaves troughing spike held and I didn't go over the edge and fall on the electrical wire. If I could trade places with a movie star, who and why? Well, I don't know any movie stars that meet this criteria, but one of the music stars that I really look up to is Garth Brooks. He made an awful lot of money, and that's not why I look up to him, but he took time off his career to raise his children and spend some time with them. And he, I think, understands family in a way that is important to me, and the idea of enough, and that is that you don't have to once you get to a place that you have enough, you don't have to keep going. And I'm happy about my life that I have enough. And so if I could find a movie star like that, that's who I would emulate, as somebody who understood I have enough, I don't have to keep going and trying to get more, and I can appreciate and enjoy what I have without continuing to go too much. A childhood idol. I have to say, I had two childhood idols that I can think of. One was Abraham Lincoln. I really liked his, not that he got shot, of course, but that he stood up for what he thought was right for the country at a time that it maybe wasn't necessarily the most popular. And I like people who have firm held beliefs and they're willing to stand up for them in spite of adversity. And also Walter Payton. Even though I liked the Dallas Cowboys and Walter Payton played for the Houston Oilers at the time, I liked him because he was like this heavy duty guy. He really took some hits. He was a great running back, or fullback, or whatever he was called. But he was kind of a humble star, and kind of, mostly you saw athletes as these really thin, hard running people, and he was kind of this heavier guy, and he just like pushed through and got the job done. So Walter Payton and Abraham Lincoln, for two much different reasons. A superstar's death that I took difficultly. I really, I have to say, I learned through the death of my grandparents and also my father, that generally I'm okay with people passing away. I miss them, and there's some grief when I've lost them, but I also understand that that's part of our life and we have to move on. And I didn't really idolize anybody so much that I took their death hardly. Probably the most difficult was losing my child at 3 days old, and my father, and I took those with some grief. But there's no real superstars that I was overwhelmed about them passing away. And my favorite thing about summer is the warm weather. I'm a warm weather fan. I've been here on Alaska cruises this summer, and the weather here in Alaska and northwest, or I guess southwest Canada, is not really the warmest. It gets up to about 70 degrees for a few weeks, but it's often rainy and still cold, especially there are a bunch of glaciers here in southeast Alaska. And that's one thing that I've missed, is the nice warm weather. So I'm ready to go. My favorite thing about summer is warm weather, and I'm ready to go back to the Caribbean and cruise. Again, this has been an interview for Jacob Lenhoff Tours America. This is Homer the Homesteader. Thank you for joining us.